This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
No matter how attractive you are, whether it be in business or relationships or whatever else, if you're needy, you're going to be intolerable to other people. So you need to get rid of that neediness.
Hi, my name is Igor Kheifets, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another episode of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kheifets. And today I'm hosting the True Entrepreneur, my go-to source for advice with email marketing and women, Mr. Ben Settle. Ben, how you doing, man?
Igor, I am doing really good. How are you doing? Well, it's morning for you, night for me, but how you doing?
Yeah, it's so early, man. It's so early. I got so early. I'm actually not able to do the school run, to the preschool run for my daughter because I'm interviewing you. So my wife is extremely upset with you right now.
Well, you know what, Igor? Unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, I know the dynamic. Familiar with the dynamic. You just piss women off. That's what you do. And that's why we love you, man. That's why we love you. And I mean, you are the leading authority, as far as I know, on emails. I mean, not to sort of like downplay other email, folks that are interviewed on the show. But honestly, it's your style and your methodology that really, really clicked for me at some point. And I've been just a fanboy of yours ever since. So, I'm just really excited to be hosting you on the show.
Well, I always have a good time talking to you. And it's been way too long. It's been like a year and a half since we spoke last, I think. So.
Yeah, but, I get the newsletter. By the way, guys, if you're not subscribing to Ben's newsletter, you should definitely get on that, okay? It's called Email Players, and you can get the first free issue if you go to bensettle.com/free, and you should be going there right now and getting it. Honestly, just the free issue alone, I mean, it can just double your email open rates, just like that. So, Ben, let me start and ask you, what's like the most common mistake you see email marketers make right now?
Okay, so there's two. One is, so you guys like you and me, it's pretty obvious, but people need to hear it apparently, even though like you and I wonder why we have to say this, right, constantly. And that is not emailing often enough. Like people just email once a week or once a month or when they have something to say, or even worse, like the worst of all, they only email when they have something to sell, like a launch or something. It's almost like they treat their list like a booty call. It's like, and I don't know. I think, I'm not saying people can't make money doing that, but you're not going to build a very solid business in most cases. So yeah, I'm an advocate of mailing every day at minimum once a day, and even more is better if you can, if you have the motivation and ambition to do it. As long as you're doing it the right way, it's if you're playing to win and not playing to not lose, you should see your sales go up and your opt-outs will go up, and that's fine. That's why you go to Igor and you keep building your list. That's the game.
Well, I was doing a call with Perry Marshall for the show, and he says list building is not a process of the people like you get or something, like it's people you repel. So you kind of focus on the people you don't want and you just get rid of them as much as you can. So the opt-outs going up, I think it's a perfectly natural thing. And I think, it's just a good thing because that means you got so many people on the list sticking and reading and consuming your stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, what some people call repulsion marketing. You have attraction marketing, which is like the MLM world does that, right? That's their thing, attraction marketing, how to attract the prospects and all. And that's fine. And, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a valid way of doing it. But I think repulsing, like what Perry's saying, repulsing away the people you don't want is going to get rid of all the people that should not be on your list in the first place, causing you trouble and causing themselves trouble, and further like strengthen the bonds you have with the people you do want. And it's a very contrarian point of view, but it works. And, by the way, so I wanted to say there's a second thing and I teased you a little bit before our call. I said, I would love to get your take on this, whether you agree with me or not. I'm very interested in this.
All right.
Especially from a list building guy. You know what I mean? Like I mean, you're a list building guy.
Yes, sir, I am.
Solo ads is one way of many ways to do it, but it's a good way. So anyway, recently, I don't know if you've been following this drama on my email list or not, but recently I said something, and in fact, it was Saturday. Now today's Monday, and we're recording this. This was Saturday, a couple of days ago. I sent an email out, and I just said the only purpose of a website is to build a list. Like at the end of the day, if you break it all down, all the reasons people have for having a website, it all roads lead to building a list. And so there's an A-list copywriter who I have tremendous respect for. I want to say that right off the bat. I have nothing but respect for this guy. And him and I disagree on a lot of stuff, and we have email banter back and forth a lot. And his name is Bob Bly. Now, Bob Bly is one of the great copywriters of our day. But there's no question about it. Like, I love studying his stuff. His books are amazing. I think he doesn't just write marketing books, he writes novels and other things too. But anyway, so he went onto his Facebook and he posted what I said, and he said, I usually agree with Ben, but I disagree with this. What do you think? And and then all these like fluffpreneurs came out of the woodwork, right?
Fluffpreneurs.
It's not about building the list. It's about branding and, all this other stuff. Just ad nauseum. In fact, this thread is still going on right now. And I've actually made money from this thread by sending emails out to my list about here's what these people are saying and here's why they're wrong. So that's one way you can make money with email. Anyway, my point is this. All that stuff that people think they have a website for, whether it be to demonstrate their knowledge or to build trust and credibility and all that stuff. If you break that all down, why are they doing that? Why are they building a brand? Why are they trying to get trust? Why are they having testimonials and videos and content? Why are they doing all that? It's to get people to either sign up for a list or to buy something, which puts them on a buyer's list. So at the end of the day, all roads, no matter how fluffy somebody is, if they're in direct response marketing, and that's what I'm talking about here, not like, major Fortune 1000 companies and stuff, but like, direct response, like us, like you and me, Igor, guys like us, guys who do this in the real world, it's to build a list. And I think this is a big mistake people make. I know it's not really an email thing technically, but if they get this right, no matter who's listening to this, if you're doing direct response marketing and you have a website, the whole purpose of that website, like every action somebody takes should be geared toward getting them on a list in some way, shape, or form. So for example, I'll give you my own website as an example. I have like a contact page and I have like an FAQ page and I have like a media page where I put like recorded interviews I've done on the radio and stuff. All that stuff is there to get people to trust me and know me and like me and all that so that they'll feel comfortable joining my list. Like all that stuff is there for a purpose. It's to get them on a list. I have it even set up, man, where they have to, they can't even click the link to buy email players. They have to opt in first. I have my friend Jim Yagi has this rigged on my site now. If they go to emailplayers.com from my blog, it sends them to the opt-in page and says, hey, wait, make sure you get the free issue first. So they get on my list. It's all about getting them on a list. And, you could have people say, well, I make a transaction up front. I don't do opt-ins. And that's fine too, because why are you selling them that first product, but to get them on a list? So anyway, I think that's a big mistake people are making. I know there's a lot of people on Facebook who disagree with me about this, but Igor, it is not against the law in any country I know for them to be wrong. And so it's all good.
Well, first off, I do agree with you. And, the issues I deal with on a daily basis is folks approaching me to run ads. Okay, so to run paid traffic to something like a company homepage that has no opt-in form, no direct response copy or any sort of like call to action, just a page with a lifestyle video on it, and it's like, oh, read about our company, read about our compensation plan. There's nothing going on there. There's no salesmanship. So yeah, I agree with you. People do build websites or buy websites for all the wrong reasons. I personally believe that a website is nothing but a lead generation ad. So in other words, you drive the traffic to it, sure, but the purpose of that site is to get that, the hottest prospect on some sort of communication, which, for the most part, for me, that's my list.
Yeah. Yeah, a list. And especially somebody buying. Now, I'm guessing that most of these people on Facebook I'm talking about don't buy their traffic. So they don't really have the value. Like for someone who pays you a couple $1,000s or however much you charge for solo ads, you're going to try to get every single one of those people on a list. You don't want to lose any of them. You know what I mean? Like you paid for them.
You got to maximize that, of course. I mean, the cost per lead is one of the primary things you track when you buy advertising, whether solo ads or Facebook ads or whatever. And Naturally, if you're not, and if you're just wasting money, I mean, who would want to just throw money at a wall like that?
I don't know, but these people on the Facebook, that's what they're like. It's weird because I just can't understand that mindset, how somebody would not realize that the purpose of direct response marketing is to build lists. Like they're like before the internet. So I think the internet's kind of what's and like social media especially is what's screwing people up. They think it's different. It's no different than running an ad on the radio. The whole purpose of those ads, the direct response ones, is to get you to buy something or get a free report or something to get you on a list. And the internet's no different. And people are buying these leads and they're just wasting money. And so, I know that's not exactly an email thing, but it works hand in hand with that. So you get them, do whatever you can to get them on your list and then mail them every day. And that's a recipe for success.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. So let's circle back to, you mentioned repulsion marketing, right? What is it? How do you do that? And why is it so effective?
Well, okay. So I think a good example of this, and I know that you're not in America, but I'm sure you see a lot of our media and all that, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So we have an election going on, in case anyone doesn't know. Okay. And we got some people like, I don't know, Donald Trump, for example. He's the perfect example of this. This guy is not an attraction marketer. Okay. He's the best repulsion marketer I've ever seen. And I'm reading one of his books right now, and I'm seeing exactly what he's doing. So if you know who Donald Trump is and you're watching him, and whether you like it doesn't matter if you like him or agree with him or you agree with what he stands for. None of that matters. In fact, just to show that I'm not just going to single him out. If you know who Bill Clinton is, he was perfect at this too. He was a great repulsion marketer. These people are very polarizing. You're either with them or you're against them. You either love them or you hate them. There's very little indifference there. And by being a repulsion marketer, by really standing for something and standing against something, even more than you stand for something in some cases, you're going to repulse people away. There's so many analogies I can use for this, but one of my favorites is actually from the Bible, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it, man. I believe it.
There's this part in the book Revelation, chapter 3, where, there's these 7 churches and, 5 of them are screwing up and 2 of them Jesus is happy with. But one of the ones that's screwing up, he's like, you're doing everything right. You're feeding the poor and all that stuff. I'm paraphrasing here, but you're lukewarm. And I'd rather you be hot or cold than lukewarm. And you're lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out because you're lukewarm. I think that is the perfect attitude to have toward marketing. You don't want anybody indifferent to you or lukewarm. You want them you either want them with you or against you. If you polarize enough, for example, I wrote emails about what I was just telling you about what I believe the purpose of a website is for. There's a lot of people who disagree with that. And I'm not catering to them in any way. I'm stating my point. I'm saying, here's why I'm right and you guys are wrong. And people who I'm saying you're wrong, and I'm backing up what I'm saying, I'm trying to repulse them away. I'm trying to turn them hot or cold. Chances are I'll turn them cold and they'll leave, but a few of them will become hot and say, shoot, I think Ben's onto something here. I need to hear more about what he has to say. And those will become very good customers and long-term buyers. So that's kind of, because not everybody's going to buy from you. In fact, most people aren't. So it's better to get rid of the people you don't want so that you have plenty of room and attention and time for the people you do want.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as far as look for, I mean, I used to sell coaching a lot, and I do talk a lot about having sold coaching in the past. For some reason on the show, I'm not realizing that. But, there's always the lessons I come back to. And one of the ways this comes to play for me is in a sales conversation. So when I sit down in front of a prospect and I was basically, interviewing them and then selling them a very expensive coaching package, I always, asked for either a yes or a no. In other words, I never allowed them to give me a maybe. So they couldn't just say, I'll think about it, or I'll go talk to my wife about it, or let me meditate on it. These sort of answers, I would say something like, look, if it's not a good fit, I understand, right? But there is no maybe here. It's just a yes or a no, a very clear yes or no answer. So either hot or cold, either with me or against me or whatever. But there's not going to be a situation where I'm sitting here waiting for you to show up and, with a decision for another 2 months or something like that, which happened. I mean, people actually try to do stuff like that.
Well, that brings up a good point here. It sounds to me like what you were doing, and this is what I do too when it comes to selling in any format, whether it's, if I'm negotiating something in person or if I'm doing it through an email, selling in an email or in a sales letter. I never I never ask people to buy. I give them the opportunity to buy. And, you can either come along for the ride, and the rest of us who are doing well and whatever the problem we're solving, whether it be business stuff or golf, I sell in the golf niche, whatever, you're given the opportunity to become a part of what we're doing. I'm not begging someone to, I don't care. In fact, I'm almost trying to get rid of them. Like, I just don't want a pain in the butt customer. I really don't. Who's wishy-washy. I want someone who's, yes, I'm in and I'm committing to this, whatever it is I'm selling, or no, this just isn't for me. I'm not ready right now. That's fine. They can go off, and maybe one day they'll want to do this, and maybe they won't, but I'm not begging them to do anything. In fact, I may not even let them buy. That's the attitude I have. I don't say those words, but that's like the attitude I have in the copy. And you know what? That's very repulsive to some people. And that's good. Those are the people I don't want. But the people who are ready, and they're ready to make a decision to buy whatever it is I'm selling, I want them. Those are the ones I'm actually bringing in. Those are the ones left over after I repulsed everyone else away.
I used to do the same thing when I would get on a call with someone. The first thing I would do is I would question them. I would literally have them tell me, why should I work with them? And that alone set the stage for the whole conversation to be all about me qualifying them versus, me begging them, if you will. Because, I see this a lot, especially, with the folks I work in the home-based business arena. There's so many beggars out there, so much neediness. So, can you talk a little bit about neediness? Because that's the concept I sort of picked up from you. Like, how does it come into play? Who does it? And how does it ruin, your marketing completely?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, in some ways, we're touching upon the single most important thing somebody can learn, and not just in business, but in life, right? Like in any way. I can't tell you. I can't even count. I honestly could not even count. I could sit here for hours and try to figure this out, but I couldn't even count it. So many. How many times neediness has hurt me in some way in my life, whether it be in relationships or in business or whatever. Friendships, anything. There's nothing that will repulse people away, but not in the good way we're trying to talk about here. But repulse the people you do want away more than being needy. It is in fact, just not being needy will make you more successful in selling, persuasion, marketing, in relationships with the opposite sex, whatever it might be. Getting rid of neediness is the worst, and almost everybody fights it. I've had to really train myself, and especially since I got divorced and everything several years ago. I really had to train myself to not be needy. It's something that did not come naturally to me. I was actually a very needy person for much of my life. And now I've gotten to the point where I forgot what it's like to even, I have to try to be needy to be needy. It drives my girlfriend nuts. She actually wants me to be a little needy, but I can't. It's so driven out of my mind now. And this carries over into every part of your life, especially business. If a client or a customer senses neediness out of you, like you need them, you're going to kill they're not going to want anything to do with you. In fact, we tend to want to get away from needy people. It's the law of the jungle, right? We pursue that which flees from us, and we flee that which pursues us. So if you're needy and you're always pursue, their natural reaction is to run the other way. I'll give you an example. So I have a dog that's part Basenji. Now, Basenji is an Egyptian, or I think some kind of African or Egyptian dog or something like that. They're hunting dogs. And when I got this dog, they told me very specifically, the kennel told me, or the dog shelter told me very specifically, look, these dogs like to chase. All right. So if she gets away from you, if this dog ever runs away from you, you need to run the opposite way so she'll chase you. And that is, to me, the perfect metaphor for business. You want to almost be running. You want your customers, and like you were talking about with your clients, chasing you. And if somebody wants a more real example of this, we will take this to the dating world, Igor, because I know you like when I talk about this stuff.
Oh, I love it, man.
Okay. And this carries over to business too, but this is more of a man and girl thing. So let's say you have a guy who's the perfect height, perfect build. He's in perfect shape, perfect teeth, full head of hair, successful job, makes 6 figures a year, is a lawyer, high value job, high value guy in every way. This is the kind of guy that all the girls say they want, right? Tall, dark, handsome, and successful and all that. Witty, charming, all that stuff. He's just the perfect guy on paper. Suddenly he starts becoming very needy, and clingy and needy and always there and always just following the girl around all the time like a lost puppy, and always afraid she's texting another guy, and just looking over, always needing to check her phone and her Facebook. Just becomes real needy. That otherwise successful guy it will become now very unattractive to her, even though he's physically attractive to her. He's completely unattractive in every other way and will be repulsive to her. And it's kind of a lot of girls like their shoes, like to buy out like 100 pairs of shoes, right? That's like a lot, at least my girl does.
Yep.
They have a closet full of shoes, of the best shoes in the world, like the most expensive, I don't know all the brands, but like the most expensive high-end shoes that are in her closet. And then you go in there and you smear a bunch of catfish bait around the room. So it smells so bad you can't even enter the room. That's what neediness is. It's like catfish bait. It just, no matter how attractive you are, whether it be in business or relationships or whatever else, if you're needy, you're going to be intolerable to other people. So you need to get rid of that neediness.
And here's the thing about neediness. The other person can't really explain why they hate you. So you might be a great guy or gal. You might be a very nice person. You might be saying all the right things in your spiel or whatever. Like, you'd be like a very, very good human being, but you'd still repel people with your neediness. And that's, you're absolutely right, Ben. This dating world analogy transfers to marketing so well, because that's what I see every day. That's what I see every day. It's like people who are so desperate. They put their ideal prospect on a pedestal to a point where it's just, they can't sell anything. You can't really command authority on somebody who's actually above you on that pedestal. Like, it's impossible. They have to be either slightly beneath you or maybe the same, eye level, but not when they're on a pedestal.
Yeah, if somebody's on a pedestal, they can only look down on you. I mean, that's like that's in real life. If you put somebody on a chair above, they're looking down on you, and that carries over, mentally and emotionally and every other way. If you put them on a pedestal, they have to look down. This is why so many guys are like, I don't know about how it is in Israel, but in America, guys, it's not looking good for guys out here. So many guys are so needy, and they just, and girls will tell you, like a guy who's not needy, and maybe he's not even physically attractive, but he's confident. They're drawn to guys like that. And in business, whether it be clients or customers, you may not be perfect. You may have the ugliest, you may have the worst website, the worst. You may not be able to write very well when you're trying to write emails to them. It won't matter if you have just the confidence in yourself that you have something worth sharing and you have something worth buying. And when you really, I'll tell you what, Igor, you want to know what helps get rid of neediness in business? And this is something that took me many years to figure out. And it carries over to the dating world too, but just in the business sense. Once you do the numbers and you realize the math is on your side, and by that I mean this, like, you're the solo ad guy. So you have knowledge and experience about building a list that the vast majority of people online don't have, right? That means there's less supply of you than there are people who need what you have. When you realize that, you're actually way more valuable. Like, your value is, like, in your own mind, shoots up. And this applies to anything. Like, no matter what you're selling, if you have something that's going to improve someone's life, and you have it and you can sell it to them. Once you realize that there's less supply of you to supply that, whatever it is, to the mass of people, you don't need everybody to run a very successful business. You only need like a very small, fraction of a percentage of buyers in the world, and you can be a millionaire. And once you realize that math is on your side, it really helps put things in context. Like, you don't need them. You don't need any one customer or client. You need customers and clients, but not any one customer or client. And if someone doesn't want to do things the way you do things, they don't have to buy. And that's fine, because there's plenty of people who will. And I hope that, anyone listening, I hope that helps them if they're fighting this neediness thing. I hope that helps, because it helped me quite a bit to figure that out.
Well, what we do, the Igor Solid, sometimes we would actually refund people and say, we don't want to work with you. And even if they didn't really do much to deserve it, like, they would do something, but, it's forgivable. In other words, we can close our eyes on that and just let it slide. But sometimes if we haven't fired anyone in a while, I tell Dennis, hey, this person, fire them, please. And he'd be like, no, but it's a 500-click sale, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I don't care. We don't need them. They need us. And they misbehaved, so they will be punished, because you have only so many hours in the day, and you need to invest this time with clients that behave. You know what I mean?
Oh man, yeah, that's really good. I do the same thing. I do the exact same. Sometimes I think it's just good for the soul to fire a customer, or client, even if it's kind of a frivolous reason. I wouldn't recommend doing this just to anyone, but someone who just annoys you. Maybe you just don't like them. You'll sleep better knowing they're not in your business. Just fire them. Just it'll do so. And by the way, this works in the dating world too. I'm not saying people should just dump their girlfriend or anything, but sometimes you just got to tell people no. This isn't going to happen. This isn't going to work, and you better go find someone else. And you'd be surprised that people will change if they realize your value. They will change their minds and behave differently, and things will be fine. And it works in the business world too. I've had customers who misbehaved, as you would say, who I fired as customers. I unsubscribed them from email players, whatever, and they would come back a couple years later saying, "Look, man, I know I screwed up. Okay, I'm not like that anymore. I realized what I did." And will you give me another chance? And I'm saying, yeah, absolutely. Because they learned and they've grown and they're better people and better customer, and I can better help them. But, that's not the norm. But I mean, just what I'm saying is sometimes by doing that, you will actually make people better people, and they'll come back as better customers.
Yeah. And, I had one customer who we fired and who insisted we take his money. So he started PayPaling us money. So we would refund it and he would PayPal it again. We would refund it and he would PayPal that again. Like, I actually had to personally reach out to him, get on the phone and say, dude, just stop sending us money. We're not going to give you traffic because, you're really high maintenance. It's impossible to talk to you. You can tell these customers, right? You see them by the kind of emails they send you, and the frequency and the amount of emails, the kind of questions. And I tend to do worse with desperate clients like that. These are the needy people. These are the people that kind of go berserk if something goes wrong. These are the people that love to play the blame game. And so I'm like, well, look, I can choose whether to invest my time with this person or have someone else pay me just as much, because they order the same traffic. So they pay me just as much, but they're low maintenance. Why would I then make my life harder? Why not keep it simple?
There's this girl I know who I almost dated this girl. I kind of dodged a bullet, I guess, on this one, because the guy she ended up dating, and because I just never really pursued her enough to date her or anything, but I was going to, but I didn't. And my current girlfriend, she knows the girl and everything, and she goes, that girl, the guy she was dating, just constantly, who are you texting? What are you doing? Who are you texting? Who are you talking to? Like, just needy. Like, someone like that, I would have booted right away. Like, there are plenty of other girls. I do not need that one. And that one will actually make you more unattractive to other girls, because they're like, well, he's only with that girl. He must not be that valuable. Now, let's translate this to business. If you take these needy, crappy customers and clients that that you shouldn't be dealing with, and that they're going to make your life worse, they make you look bad. They actually rub off on you. Not just their attitude and stuff could rub off on you, but just it's like reverse social proof. If you have a really good client who sees you working with this kind of questionable client, the good client's going to like, if Igor's working with that guy, he's probably not really the person I want to do business with. So it's good, and not just from like a practical perspective, but a perceptual perspective, just the perception other people have of you.
Yeah, I really wish, list builders, that's how I call my audience, the list builders. I really wish for you guys to adopt this philosophy, this paradigm, and start seeing the world in a different light. First off, just like Ben said, there's plenty of customers to go around for everyone. So, it's not a zero-sum game. The marketplace is not limited the way you feel it is. I mean, honestly, Ben, did you ever get this from clients? Like, a lot of people believe that if Ben signs up 3 people today for email players, then Igor, cannot get, those 3 players into the VIP club. Like, there's less money left for Igor if Ben makes some money today.
God, I would think like our customers would be perfect matches, actually, like I think the opposite of that. And yeah, anyone who would think that way is just like, they have a scarcity mindset. And, unfortunately, that's most people, especially in business. Like, it's unfortunate for them, but fortunate for those of us who aren't like that. Like, it's weird. It's almost like we cut our own throats by even teaching this stuff. But we're trying to make the world a better place, right? So, I'd rather there be less needy people in the world than more.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when you think about it, if everyone makes money, the world's just a better place, just like you said, right? I mean, I grew up in just a poverty-driven society. Lots of violence, lots of hate, and I sort of brought this hate over here to Israel. And I actually went to this workshop where people like the part of there was an exercise, right? Being honest, which of course I excel at. And that's why people think I'm an asshole often. But this was different because everyone else would come up to me and say that they hated me, that they didn't like me because of the way I looked. Because, I have this not violent, but I would say aggressive look to me sometimes. Like I look at the world sometimes just like I used to look at the world when I was a kid, which was this, don't come near me sort of like primal jungle style. You know what I mean? Like it was really dangerous where I grew up. Like people got stabbed and just for money and there were contract killers and like all sorts of different stuff. And so I brought this mentality over here. I had to re-educate myself. And so people have the same thing about money. And it comes from the household, of course, from the upbringing and then the society we grew up in. It has something to do with your political beliefs and religious beliefs as well, but not as much. My point is that there's plenty of customers to go around for everyone. I was just checking this, by the way. I was getting ready to do a webinar, which I'm going to be doing tonight. And back when I started, which I think back in 2008, the amount of Google searches for make money online was 200,040 something. Now, the amount of searches for make money online today per month is 2 million.
Oh, geez, that's like a 10 times.
2 million. So the marketplace has grown. Yeah, that's right. It's like, a huge increase. So there's more and more people coming in online to learn to make money online. So if you're in the industry, in the space of teaching people to make money online in any way, you're getting more customers every day. The marketplace has grown. It's not shrinking. But, people think that it is. So, Ben, first off, thank you for taking the time to do the show and, staying up late. So where can we get more of Ben?
You just go, if you like what we're talking about here, like I'm talking about, to your listeners or anything, this is pretty much the kind of stuff we talk about on my podcast too. We don't just talk, how-to stuff. We get into the philosophy and psychological side of things. And that's at bensettleshow.com. And, Igor was mentioning, when you opt into my list, you get the first email players issue. Well, if you go to bensettleshow.com, the podcast, we give the same thing away if you opt in there. So either page is fine. You can get that issue. But if you go to the podcast, opt in, you'll get other emails from, not from me every day, but from one of my students who I brought on to do the emails for that site. And she does a great job too. So, if you want to learn email and you want to get good at this, either one of my sites, bensettle.com or bensettleshow.com, will definitely get you started on the right track.
All right, list builders. So just to recap, you want to go ahead and subscribe to Ben's podcast, The Antipreneur Show, at bensettleshow.com. Pick up the free issue of Email Players and get on the list. Start studying that. Start taking notes, trying to see through what Ben and his apprentice are doing with their emails. I also highly recommend, to sign up for Ben's newsletter at emailplayers.com, but not until you consume the very first newsletter issue, which you get for free if you just go to bensettleshow.com, because that's Ben's philosophy. You cannot actually get on that newsletter until and unless you go through the first issue. Now, I actually respect that a lot, and I believe there is something to learn from this setup. So, Ben, as always, thank you so much. You've been great. I've enjoyed this tremendously, and make no bones about it, I'll be inviting you to come and rap on the show again.
Well, I appreciate it, man. We hadn't talked in a while, so this has been a lot of fun for me too. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, brother.
Thank you for listening to The List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kheifets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.